Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And today, here we are for our seventh edition of Capsule. This edition is definitely very, very special because today we have with us really dynamic and inspiring leaders from Pharma. But the special point is they're all women leaders. So here we are for the capsule, the forum which was started to just discuss, bring in the thought leaders and have conversations around how do we fill in the gap that's been created between the pharma companies and the medical professionals to their end patients. How do we come together to discuss and also in a common way to strengthen overall as an industry where we are catering to the end customer, which is the patient. So with that, here's the panel that we have. I would like to first introduce Priya Hingorani, Vice President Commercial, GSK. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. I think the strong advocate of talent and leadership that you are. When I was reading your profile and I saw your journey, 24 years of experience and such a diverse experience. I mean, that's the reason why CMO has been recognizing your efforts, not just in marketing, but also what you have started to build for professionals for us, like us in the industry. So I'm really, really honored to welcome you for today's panel.
Thank you, Zeenat. My pleasure.
Thank you. So moving on, we have Vidyut Kanekar, Senior General Manager Training, USV. Incredible journey. I was just having a conversation with her before the session and such inspiring story. Thank you so much for joining us today, Vidyut.
I am glad to join, and I think Capsule is really a great platform where, we'll be able to brainstorm, talk about our opinions and fill in the gaps necessary. I'm excited.
So a lot of you who would be reading the screen right now to read out the profile, I'm sure very interesting would catch your eye, which is rational emotive behavioral therapy, right? I mean, something new for a lot of people. Let's see if we can touch base upon this as we move ahead in our discussion. Thank you.
Sure, surely.
Welcoming our last but not the least, Dr. Tanushree Pal, Group Product Manager, Servier Pharmaceuticals. Hi, Tanushree, welcome.
Hi, Zeenat. Hello.
Okay, so I think what I was amazed and I still would like to introduce and start off with that. Someone who's a PhD, someone who did law, and someone who after that realized that MBA is what definitely is needed and the learning journey doesn't end there, who's currently pursuing a certification. So I think commendable journey, so inspiring. Thank you, Tanushree, for being here with us.
Thank you so much. It's just an honor to be here sharing the stage with all these wonderful women. And I think it's going to be a learning for me as well, because I'm still a toddler, I would say, as compared to these giants sitting here. I think I'm still a toddler, but I hope that we are able to get into a lovely conversation this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I must just say, I'll be selfish to call out that the learning is going to be maximum for me. I'm just honored to have you three here in the panel and I have you for an hour to hear from you. So I think let's get going and welcome again. Thank you so much for taking out time for the session today. What I would want to start off with is just reflecting on your journeys of what's been the journey for you in the pharma industry, and starting off with Priya, and Priya, coming to you. And for the rest of the audience who's listening to us, we were just having a conversation about, and I think the obvious thing that happens, and if you see the theme for this year's International Women's Day is breaking the bias. And one side of the conversation was happening about how Tanushree, I didn't get a chance to say it, even I echo what you said, like, for us, when we are there working and when we see that we are getting preferred just because we're a women employee, it goes against us. Like, that's not something that we want. We want to be there for merit. And that's where I think, Priya, you brought in the right point, that maybe we are fortunate enough to be in this industry and to make those statements or to think in that direction, because people like you and Vidyut have built that path for us. And that's where I want to open up and hear from you on how's been your journey and what you see has changed since when you started and where we guys currently are.
All right, I'm feeling ancient already. Let me remind you, I'm not so ancient. So, uh, but my journey started obviously, and it came through with serendipity. I'm an M.Pharm MBA by qualification. Started off in M.Pharm. Wanted to do medico marketing very much like what you did with you, and got serenaded into a career by someone who I respect deeply, because that person spotted the talent at a time where you didn't have all the fancy people telling you about what you need to do in your life. You just picked up and you ran with what was available. And he suggested that I should take up commercial. I'm talking about Mr. Nick Israni, who's the founding person for Blue Cross Laboratories, ex-MD for Pfizer Lambert, Warner Lambert in India and I think in the region. And he was an inspiration. He started his own organization at 57 years of a ripe young age of 57 years, putting up his life saving and then starting up to build a phenomenal organization. And he brought me on board to say, look, I think you will do well in commercial. I said, okay, let's give it a try. What's the harm? And then he said, okay, now let's get you into the market to get you to become a management trainee and start looking out to see what's happening. So there off I was. Today we have fancy backpacks. That time you had a square bag, which was brown in color, which gives you all kind of carousels here in on your hand with heavy weights, where you were sampling bottles and medicines and detailed to doctors. But that journey was amazing. And that brought you to, and then he brought me back into the office and then encouraged that I do an MBA and, take my journey from there, because it gave me a sense of what I wanted to do. Thereon into multiple organizations. Most recent, of course, I'm with GSK. But prior to that, I was with J&J, where I have done, till then, I have done multiple roles, both in the field, first line, second line sales leaders, marketing heads, business unit heads, multiple business unit heads, vice president. And then I moved above country to do work with Japan, Australia, China, Korea, India, and one Southeast Asia, as well as with the global teams to understand what's happening in the space where you don't know anything, right? And you don't understand those markets as well. But it was, I can tell you, the best 2.5 years of my life, where I learned what it is to see from a helicopter view and then come down, zoom in very quickly to the micro view and understand how teams work together. Globally, I got an opportunity to launch probably first to the world kind of molecules. Did a lot of work around commercial, which was there, and have done work in policy, have done work in healthcare, digital technology space, commercial excellence, worked in markets like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, as heading those markets. So it's been a phenomenal journey. I think that's what I would say. The highlight for me has been that there have been mentors all along the way. People who I can call them mentors today. Okay, they were not classified as mentors, but those people who believed in your potential, who stood by you in tough times, who believed that you would be probably bringing the best to the table. But I can tell everyone on this call that journey has not been as simplistic as it appears. It goes in different deep valleys and troughs and peaks. And it also is a journey of grit, determination, and resilience, where you sit through and you work through pregnancies, aging parents, ill family, and how support falls in. So there have been beautiful episodes peppered along my life where my belief in humanity, my belief in human empathy for people has only been reinforced. So I've got some wonderful, wonderful managers all along the way, including the current manager I have, who have immense belief in what I bring to the table. And I think that's very important. You think you are doing your job and everything is good, but if you don't have that particular sponsor sitting there to take care of you and to pull you up, it doesn't matter. And like I was telling Tanushree, Zeenat, and Vidyut some time back, when I started off, nobody was talking diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Everybody was looking at you as one person who's come here as a fad is going to try a hand at something and then disappear into brand management. get married, disappear out of the career line, right? And so everybody thought first child gone, second child, oh, definitely going, right? And then different other areas in life where you come to life stages and then you realize that no, that's not happening with her. She's staying around and just staying around and doing roles that we never thought she would do. Right? Interestingly, even in those stages, I think I've got certain colleagues, my male colleagues who stood by, who were strong pillars of support at every point of time. One thing that I believe helped each one of us was being our authentic selves, bringing whatever problems you had to the table and, discussing so people could help you. Asking for help was never something to feel bad or sorry about. It's something that gave you a platform to really, really shine. And I think as a team, we bonded because we were there for each other all the time. So they're still family, they're extended family. I think all of them probably had more chats with my kids and my parents than I did because I was busy at work. But there was, that kind of bonding that came through. One interesting episode I want to share with you. Many of us believe, pregnancy is a time where women probably don't get their due and companies don't give them. I was pregnant with my second baby on 3 months of bed rest because I was going through a little difficult pregnancy. But my then manager said the elevation that you deserve is for the work that you have done till now. And I know when you come back, you will come back super committed. So I was one of those few who got promoted during the pregnancy, right? During very much within the first trimester. So I think I owe my success to them. I owe a lot to these people who believe that I deserve to get better than where I was. And immense number of people who have supported me unconditionally. So I don't think it's my journey alone. I would be failing if I don't call out my children who have borne the maximum brunt. I don't call out my spouse because I'll let him believe that he's not done enough. but from my kids, I think the kind of sacrifices that they have made so that you can do and you can pursue your dream, it's unimaginable. So it's never a single person's journey. It's always everybody else's journey.
People together.
And then getting recognized by OPPI as a key women achiever who has made an influence to the world, to the Indian pharma world, I think is just one bit of the beginning. So I'm hoping we didn't have very, very women who were in commercial and who were leading there, but I'm hoping that there is a legacy we can leave behind and make the journey for maybe Tanushree and Zeenat far more easier as you go ahead. Not in terms of the work that you need to do. That's going to get more challenging, that I can assure you. But in terms of at least the biases that existed, that women can't do certain roles, well, they can. That's from me.
On that note, Priya, I would only like to do the standing ovation with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tanushree, I join you for that.
Lovely.
Thank you so much, Priya.
Inspiring journey.
Very inspiring journey. And I think I would really like to thank all your mentors in the team that supported you and when you needed that, because of that, you are where you are. And the work that you do, being the chairman of the POSH committee or even mentoring the growing women professionals, I think that's where we come in and where we benefit today. So I really want to thank them for helping you when it was needed. And the entire journey is definitely, we spoke about and we heard on how the biases were broken about, that the roles are not supposed to be done by a particular gender. The role is basically to be done on merit. And with the same piece, I would now like to move to Vidyut, you, and what's been the biases that you've been breaking throughout your journey in the pharma world? And I think we've already discussed, so what I'll come specific, if you can bring that story up, is where in the state of distress of where you wanted to take a very important career decision, but how you moved and you changed with empowering yourself and giving yourself that direction and that clarity of what's needed and what defines happiness. If you can bring that out also. What do you?
Thank you so much, Zeenat. Yes, mine. Okay, my name itself, Vidyut, is a very atypical name. There are only men with these names. Yeah. So all the male is Mr. Vidyut and all that. So the gender bias udhar hi gaya. And then, so therefore, you know, I don't know. And the way my parents have brought me up also, I've never faced a gender discrimination. I may say really, really proudly from my parents at all. There are two sisters and a brother, but I've never faced that at least from home. Then after my master's and in pharmacy and in MBA, even I wanted to get into marketing. But I was dating and I mean, not dating, I was going steady, it's called. Yeah. I was going steady. I got married to my boyfriend. You can say that. He was doing also pharmacy. We got married and he told me very clearly, since after my BPharm MBA, I will be in marketing. And if you do marketing also, we will be meeting at the airports. So we cannot have a family. Yeah. So you think and decide and you will see what is important for you. But I would prefer if you teach. All right. So, well, I always thought I will be getting into marketing and, you know, that fascinated me actually. But the women that time used to listen and I was a submissive kind. Yeah. So I used to think, oh no, then I will have trouble with my family if I make a decision like this. And, you know, I may not be able to take this further. So let me join teaching. The fun was I taught for 10 years in a pharmacy college and I made I loved the women power there. It was like, and sometimes we used to talk about recipes and I loved that, that female flavor coming in along with teaching. I think it was a lovely period. But, you know, this thing about wanting to do something in marketing because I was really passionate about it, made me go to a few companies nearby the teaching college. Like I had, Pfizer close by and Park Davis that time. It later on merged with Pfizer. So I went there and I went to the product management team and I said, see, I want to do something for your product positioning. I will go to the medical libraries, get those, medical. And I used to go to the medical libraries. Then I used to connect with the librarian. Then I used to connect with the peon out there and say, mere liye Xerox karke rakho. Or 200 rupees ek article I used to give. So then I realized, Baba, the most important thing anywhere is about relationships. That person out there in the library used to keep the Xerox ready for me. The simple reason that I exchanged respect. I strongly believe in exchanging respect. You give respect, you get it back. So right from the peon to the doctors out there, it was an exciting thing that I could get the permission of the doctors to sit in the library. Well, then I went to the pharma company. So I bridged this gap there only. So Industry Institute gap was bridged long back, in that. So I was excited about it. So I said, yeah, I think he has done the right thing. Yeah, I'm happy with the, women here out. And also I'm able to interact. This is the best thing to happen. So I continued this. And then after that, in 2006, before that, I thought this teaching is not good enough for me. And I must have a full-time job in content management. So I joined Indigene. Indigene is a fabulous place to work. Indigene is, I suppose, one of the best workplace also. It has got an award. But I must say it is. Indigene Mumbai office I joined. And it was like going to college. And I was a part of the solution architecture team. I used to do the positioning, the medical part of it. And there was there was a competitive intelligence, and there was a marketing person. A beautiful synergy. We used to go to various pharma companies. The work was fun. And this happened. I took nice 6 years, and I was, then an incident happened. Indigene shifted to Bangalore mostly, and my husband passed away. He got a cardiac arrest. And my son was in the 10th standard. So now here was that decision, Zeenat you're talking about, is I was in crossroads, whether I should go to Bangalore, because it was like the whole news. So it was a decision, and I must say that I chose the one which was emotionally comforting for me. Being in Mumbai, being with my mother around, and being in Mumbai. So then I said, now I must look out for a job, and now let me try the industry. So that's when I started looking, and then USP happened because I came here. I was pitching as a solution architecture, person to USP. Amazing patient profiling and something like we used to do. I think Farida absolutely loved that thing. And then, we decided that we'll work together. Then USP, I joined USP, but I joined USP in the training. It's like in USA, there is no watertight compartment. So you can be in training, you can be in medical marketing, you can contribute everywhere. There's no limit, but you should but just be out there. So this thing that, that bias, that it is only self. Like I said, I thought I made an emotional decision joining USC, but somewhere then I said, oh, my mind was rationalizing it. My mind was rationalizing it all the time because I thought the most rational, this thing was to take a, in the industry and do this, the teaching thing will be translated into a training, right? I was teaching already and I was doing medical marketing. So actually, I know the other side. I've spoken to the customers. I know what it is to evolve in communications. So let me strengthen my strength. Strengthening my strength means strengthening and keeping was my communication. So what matters in training or in teaching or in this thing, whether you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Are you able to communicate? Are you able to demonstrate to the people what you want them to be? Powerful. That's what I said. So training. So training, I think I just loved it. And I also did medical marketing bit. It's not that I used to get into meetings. I used to do whatever is passionate, passionately feeling for. So one thing is there, I said that this great thing about patient profiling or indication and the doctor listening to the rep talking about this brand and this patient profile, these benefits. Wow. I think I got the clinical context into the medical rep straight on because of this 316 teaching medical and, getting the patient painted in front of the rep and then he being able to present the patient benefits and then telling the doctor, this is what you're solving. I think that is the entire journey came into that, then say, so training, and I'm 14 years in training. I think it's a very satisfying thing to say that, when you're saying you're empowering, enabling, but the journey is still on. So here it was me forgetting my gender. Actually, I've never remembered that I'm a female or something different. So yeah. So then for that, the thing to get into just happens easily because you're, so then now I'm thinking it's all about, I had a personal power. Did I feel it enough? And did I project it enough? I don't know. But I'm happy. Does that matter? Yes, it does. So that's the journey. And it will continue. Because I like empowering people, and that's the difference I'm going to continue to make. And of course, I'll say that a lot of evolution has taken up because this thing, even we go through ups and downs and these emotions that go, when there's an imbalance, you're reacting too much. And that, this is a core belief is because sometimes the frustration tolerance just dips. Therefore, I did this course called Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. Zeenat was saying, it has immensely helped me. Actually, Gautam Buddha, all the philosophers say the same thing. Albert Ellis of Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy says the same thing. This is the summary. Human beings construct their own unhappiness because of the way they react, and they react depending upon their beliefs. Their beliefs or thinking patterns, the way they're tuned to think, makes them react to every situation, person in a certain way. And sometimes these behaviors or these reactions are not useful. And they construct misery in the mind because, you don't get the result that you want. So it is about examining these beliefs and saying, whether I can have a different useful belief. So I have a behavior that fetches results. And you can do a self-REBT because, sometimes you're unnecessarily reacting in your mind and you know that, oh, this is an overreaction. You're aware of it. How can you reduce it by saying the consequences of this overreaction are not fruitful, they're not useful. So then I keep doing this when I need to. And then I am going to teach this to the others in very short. Teach this means everybody knows it. There's so many self-help videos there, but I'm going to put it in this way. So this is what I do in training these days. I believe that there has to be a belief training done first, over and above which you can do your skills, knowledge. But the guy doesn't believe in a probing, doesn't believe in an objection handling, he will never do it. So he has to believe in these behaviors, then he'll be able to adapt this very quickly. And the transformation will require time. So the business owners have to wait and see that.
Thank you, Vidyut, for such a beautiful story and sharing your journey. And also, I think the last piece which you mentioned, that it's important that we instill belief first before we go on to the next pillars of training. So I think there was another piece which you mentioned, and while we were discussing before, the point which came out that we are the ladies in the man's world, because pharma at the end of the day it used to be a male-dominated industry, and that's a fact. Right now, when we in every organization, there's conversations around diversity and inclusion, and especially this year when we look at gender equality to be the biggest pillar that we're talking about. Yes, it's bringing in the conversation, but are these conversations hitting it right in terms of breaking the biases? We still have to evaluate and reflect on that better. So with that, I think, Tanushree, honestly, I am not coming to you with the story on where you've broken the bias, because I think with the story that we already have from Priya and Vidyut, although your story is amazing, but there's something else that I want to ask you. Vidyut mentioned, and even what Priya mentioned, that throughout the journey, and when we look as pharma industry, the ratio of women within this, whether be it in pharma or whether, say, within the doctor community, it's increasing and rapidly increasing now. But when we look at the ecosystem where a medical rep from a pharma company, where still there is diversity happening, still there's a long way to go, is a male. There is a way that a male manager has tuned on how to interact. And the base or the genesis of this entire industry is relationship building. Do you think we are training our female or our field employees enough or in the right direction to understand, to bifurcate, segment, and then interact and then build relationship? Is this something that you see or you've experienced that happening in practice? And what do you think should be the direction in which we in general should start thinking around?
Zeenat, to be very honest, if I have to really answer this question, this straight off answer is going to be probably no. You've got a long, long way to go. I was just reading up some stats, all right, and it just tells me that even, like as late as say maybe recent as 2019 or 2020, it's only 5% of, of the entire lot. It's just about 5% that are women in the sales force. Okay, we're talking about the number churning. We're talking about, oh, there is an increase in the, the women inclusion in the field force or in marketing or in the corporate or in pharma in general, but we are still way behind. I mean, even if you look at a team, I've been fortunate enough to work in organizations where we've been slightly, women, I would say a little more proportion of women in the team. But if I have to look at the sales force, then no, the percentage is really skewed. It's really skewed. So if we don't have women in the team,
Yeah.
how do we really build policies, or how do we really build training modules, or how do we really arrive at a consensus as to what needs to be done to train these women better? There's only 1:10. That's the sort of ratio that we have today. It's only obvious that you're going to be, your OPEX is going to be a little more bent towards, investing more on what the larger slot or the larger proportion of the team is. So no, we are nowhere close to what needs to be really done. But having said that, with the whole diversity and inclusion bit, at least we are trying to make sure that there are women being included in various avenues of the pharma industry. That is happening. That has begun. That's the reason why maybe you, me are probably even, here talking today about merit and not talking about gender bias. All right. But do we have really anything designed? We still have to work a lot around that, is what I would say, because I don't see that in my in my vicinity happening, that, oh, we have something very specific for women. Yes, we'll be talking about a lot of other things, but from a workforce training specifically for a woman, No, I think there's a lot of refinement that's needed there. And trust me, it all dates back. I'm a millennial, all right, but I can still tell you this, that uh, when I was going to give my exams for pharmacy itself, my dad was waiting outside and I was giving this, entrance exam inside. When I come out, my dad is like, you know what people are asking me? One, they don't know what pharmacy is. Two is like, ye sirf chawanprash banate hain. Is that stream? And the next level of it comes in, acha matlab wo med rep na. I mean, the thought process so myopic. People don't know what are the various avenues, and uh, I don't think so being a medrep is wrong. I mean, dude, you are the face of the firm. At one point in time, you're the one who's going out there talking about the product. You're carrying the whole image of the organization with you. It's a great important work, and there shouldn't be a gender bias coming in there. People have to be more participative in those roles. People have to understand that yes, gender unbiased, you can do that role beautifully. And we need to, yes, come in with more policies, more training modules. One, to include more people, and then to train them. So with your question, yes, the answer is no. We've got a long way to go. But I'm sure Priya would have a lot. She can give us a direction and tell us a lot about what's really happening and what more can be done uh, for it.
Oh, thanks, Tanushree. I was smiling right through. You have your pharmacy entrance moved a great journey from where I was, where people asked me why I wanted to get into farming. So you
Yeah,
have at
that's true.
least gone closer to making a chawanprash. That was much better, right?
Yeah.
So from there, I think the journey of understanding what pharmacies, and I'll just want to step back a bit. I think there was an era between 60s and 70s, even before many of us were born, where the midrep had significant respect in the industry. People chose that as a profession because that was a profession that spoke to the doctors, that you went in, you were respectable, you had a tie on,
Yeah.
and so be it, right? And then till the 80s, probably it was still there. I think when I came in late 90s, early 2000, you were still sort of welcomed into the doctor clinic. I remember there's this very senior doctor in Kolaba where we used to go for field work, and he had a tenet. His call would start at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. You had to be there at 2:15, and not to put your card in, but to have piping hot samosas and a cool glass of ruah afza before you came in for the call, because you had done a full day's work and you were getting in, right? So you had that kind of relationships, interactions that were going in. I think the industry itself has a lot to blame in the way we have worked around getting those relationships out. What is the value add that we add to the doctor today, to the HCP today when we get in? And what is it that is going to make them welcome us? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the doctor is not living in an isolated ecosystem where he or she is also a consumer at the same time visiting an Amazon or a Flipkart or a Reliance, and doing things in a normal way that they get exposed to, and then you suddenly expect them to change and become a different individual. Like Vidyut was saying, sometimes metamorphosis happens, and the person is now sitting there. Oh, now I'm a doctor, so I'm going to behave very differently. It doesn't happen that way, right? There's the same individual at the bottom of it. So what is it that you are doing in terms of bringing value to the person as a customer?
Yes.
What is it that you are doing which is differentiated and is something that the customer is going to remember you for? And that journey needs to be encompassed. I think it's irrespective of gender. It's irrespective of, the age group that you come in. If you are good, you could be 100 years and you could still make an impact. And if you are bad, you could be 20 and you would still not be liked. So I think that's the thing. The second point is on where I think women have a slight edge is in the emotional intelligence bit.
Right.
Because EI, as we know, is a combination of self-awareness and empathy. And there are studies to show while self-awareness among human beings per se is low, but a study in 2020 showed that women are 19% 19% of women were self-aware versus 4% of men in that cohort, right? And empathy is something that comes naturally because of what you do. So you tend to make a little bit of a better emotional intelligence connection with the HCP. Certain things which is unsaid, body language, a slight nod which may get missed by somebody else from a different gender, but is picked up very intuitively by women. And you see it all the time. You see it in your team interactions, you see it in your rep interactions, you see it with your customers, you see it at home. You see it in every nuance that's there around you. So I think women, if I was to just go a little forward and say, if I want to design a program for women, I would say, how do you heighten this aspect and how do you make this your strength area when you're getting in? Because that's where, in addition to the merit, you are able to sort of make a big difference. So plus, of course, like Tanushree said, 5% women. Tanushree, super optimistic figure that is also, because I don't know how many of them stay on. And I think there is a huge amount of work that needs to be done, not only around the mindset, but also on the acceptability. There are go-getters who come in with millennial thought processes, families supporting you. We were fortunate, right? Vidyut, me, Tanushree, you, Zeenat, of course, we were very fortunate to have our parents who were right there saying, do it. This is what you need to do. But it may not be the case for many others. There may be drag downs that are happening. How are we as organizations stepping in? I often talk about this saying, if I will take 30 seconds more, a woman's career pathway and her biological cycle intersect with each other. Absolutely, they work at crossroads. When you are going to be in your late 20s, early 30s, where you are, rising the career path, that's when the biological clock is also pushing you. Okay, there is a family, there's, other responsibilities that you need to take, whichever direction you're. So whichever that window you take. Today, of course, women well into 40s are becoming mothers, and I'm so proud of them. So within that period, but it's still your career prime, right? You're still doing things in that career journey. When that is happening, how are we as an industry being supportive at every intersection point? Whether it is second careers, whether it is allowing women to have crashes at the workplace, right? Whether it is having support when they are going out into the market, into the field. Can they carry a caregiver along with them to take care of the baby when they are outside? What is happening in late hours? That's the concern most people would have of safety. Mumbai, we are fortunate. Many other markets, it may not be the case, right? What are you doing to take care of that aspect? Where is it? Many managers come and tell me, and if I'm going to be able to use Hindi for a minute, Madam, wo ro deti hai, main kuch bhi bolta hu, to main kaise handle karu, right? But that's a sensitization training to say women are emotional. They are going to react in a very different manner compared to men. It's nature's way of making you different, right? You can't fight nature. You can't say you can't be, they can't be as expressive. There are some who are tougher. Probably I find the men crying and the women not crying. So I don't think I can generalize for gender. But this is what people think. How will I give her a late night call? Why not? I have done it. So why? And they tell me. So I said, look who you're talking to. You're talking to me. I've done it. So you have to believe that somebody is going to be there to do it, right? How is she going to go and manage a difficult doctor? I said, and why do you believe a boy is better suited to do it rather than a... So there are these questions that will always be there because it's a society from which our people are coming. And it's a larger thing that you have to change. It's not going to change in a jiffy, in a nuance. It's not going to happen overnight, but you need to keep hitting at the rock to chisel it and get a sculpture out of it. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yes.
I think hoping, yes, please go ahead with you.
So Priya, I so agree with you, in what you're saying about men and women. I was just saying that, see, like my name, Vidyut. Vidyut means with the youth. So recently I have been saying that more than being, it's about women, not young women also. Yeah, irrespective of socio-economic status they're coming from, their understanding, their ability to go into the field, take this late hours, and though they are emotional now, they're able to rationalize sometimes much more better than the men. Whereas men actually on the face of it, men are the more emotionally weak creatures, and it has been proven by so many studies. So when, when it comes to rationalizing, women do it better. Men have hedonistic behaviors, like the smoking and drinking could increase. I have a bad day, I need to take a drink. Aaj to chahiye, mera aaj, aat lag gaya, mere ko to chahiye this thing. Whereas women, no, women, they cry, they tears, they give outlet to that emotion. But when it comes to rationalizing, when it being they are the more practical kind. And as Priya rightly said, they are more emotionally intelligent in the sense, like, I think that there's this understanding that for relationship building, first of all, I need to be that confident self. And then I need to connect to that customer. So it's all about, differentiating, like we have brand differentiators. It is people differentiating themselves. Today, the rep differentiating themselves from each other. And I think what benefits he is going to get to the table is what the doctor gets connected to. So it is the benefits of the brand, samajh gaya. What are the benefits this rep is going to get to the table? Now, this is irrespective of male and female gender. But these females will pick it up. They're very vocal, emotional, vocal, all of that, and they're not as, they're less introverted, I'll say. And I don't want to generalize, but this is what I have observed over the years, that men are more pent up, women are more vocal. They talk
one last word to add to that. Sorry, Zeenat. I use that as my gender as a differentiator, a positive differentiator. Positive. Doctors would remember me that wo ladki aayi thi, wo bata ke gayi hai. So that this is where it became a big thing for me.
Yeah, yes. We yaad rakhte hain. So because, they say, she spoke her heart out. She's authentic. She wants to connect. This person is got fears in him to connect. So end of the day, I feel this a journey about building relationships is so mutual that unless you are happy with yourself, you cannot have a connection with the other. Unless you are confident and you are aware of your personal power. And that's what a lot of work needs to be done, men or women separate. But that you are the differentiator besides the brand. And of course, this saying last, which I keep saying in training, is customers don't like products they like from people they don't like. It's very simple. So that the man or the woman behind the product, it's only about, his in-clinic behaviors. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that I've captured. To assimilate that and summarize is going to be very difficult, but I'll try. So instead of getting to the summary, I'll directly get to the question, which after listening to all this, I'm really eager to ask. We discussed that, yes, there are challenges. We spoke about safety. There are also the bias where women as a gender is considered to be weak. रो देगी अगर मैं उसे कुछ बोलूँगा. And also, I think safety, of course, because if you go beyond the metros and tier 1, I think the areas that they travel, nobody wants to take up that responsibility. I was like, मैं धंधा संभालूं, मैं ये करूं, is the statement that we generally hear. But that's breaking, and I congratulate and salute to all those men who are taking those decisions to hiring those female field employees. And we're also seeing in our organizations that these girls are rising, these girls are getting to what needs to be done, adding that extra touch. But honestly, also what I would like to say that this is not a pitch for everyone, like the people who are listening, that go hire only female employees tomorrow, because like also it came out in the discussion, whether it is emotion, whether it is a capability, whether it is a connect, these are not gender roles. These are not defined by gender. It's an individual who is behind, who needs to understand what's important for the brand, for the organization, and takes that and connects with the customer, irrespective of whether it's a male or a female customer. But bringing back that understanding of what they need and connecting and giving them what's needed is basically what this entire discussion was all about, without keeping gender as a lens in our minds. So the question, while I wanted to ask, was that pharma has always been behind than the other industry. Tech, if we see today, it's getting, I think that's currently the benchmark for us, where the gender inclusiveness to bring in the richness of knowledge, experience, I guess across industries, they're the benchmark. How long do you think, and this is a very cliche question, but still, how long do you think, and open for everyone, that we as pharma industry will be there where the tech of the tech companies are today? And also, what do you think are the key things that we need to focus on to accelerate if we need to be there faster.
So Zeenat, are you talking in terms of the tech in itself, or the hiring of the women in the industry?
Uh, so basically where the tech industry is in terms of embracing diversity with gender, pharma is still way behind. We're still talking single digits, right? So there's a long way. How long do you see that we also reach to that percentage? And also what do we do in order to accelerate our journey?
That's going to take some time. I wouldn't say too long, but it would take some time. I think it, like I said, it all circles back to also our education system. It also goes back to, how do we introduce pharmacy in, as an education vertical in itself, to more students? How do we talk about it? How much do we create awareness about the industry, uh, while we are, graduating with a pharmacy degree? Talking about what all are the avenues that you can actually get into when you're into a pharma industry is very important. The minute you talk about that, I think you'll be able to start, assimilating more women into the field. And once that happens, of course, a lot of it also depends on us, how much, like how Vidyut or Priya was talking about the confidence that you have in yourself. The domain knowledge, of course, is important. The merit, and how can you take your emotional quotient as a benefit to you, that is something that's going to let us progress from that entry level into the higher leadership position. So for me, if I have to pick a number, maybe give or take another decade, we should be there. That's my thing. I'm not too sure if Priya would call that ambitious too, but I think a decade should be good enough for us to, hit those numbers and see ourselves where we are probably at par with the tech industry as well.
I would agree with you, Tanushree. I think decade is reasonable. I would love to see it happen much earlier than that. Primarily, and there's a reason to believe, and I think Zeenat was alluding to what could be the accelerator. So Zeenat, I think it's about seeding. When we started, I was the only person in the boardroom for a very, very long time. Still, there are, there are mandates around how many women you need in the board. There are different organizations. But if we are so I'm looking at two aspects. Okay? In pharma and healthcare, women will be there. What level of roles are you looking? Are you looking at, and then which verticals of roles are you looking? If you're going to look at commercial, maybe it's going to take a little more time. But I'm presuming you will also get managers from the generation where they see equality coming in faster. Right? I have millennials who work with me, very, very bright young women and men. And I see them battling it out like this. This is not about a gender. It is about, I'm better than you because I know this better. Right? It's not about because I'm a female or I'm a male. So plus it's also going to be as how supportive we are going to be as an industry. So alluding to my point earlier, that if we don't as an industry make the environment conducive enough, tech made it conducive enough, right? Today when work from home was happening, women took the brunt. There were many who got burnt out because they were doing home and office, and it just went on and on. I would like to see, and I'm probably training my kids for it. I have a girl and a boy. They are both equally responsible for their tasks, right? Indian society is undergoing that change. So I think in that decade, when they enter the workforce, they are going to find it very normal. And today also, I have lovely boys who make excellent food and bring it to the office. And I'm like, wow, I wish I could do this, right? So those gender biases are breaking as well. So if that is going to happen, how soon are people going to come in and accelerate the journey? Because the men and women who are sitting here today, who are going to be the role models for them, are going to make sure that gravitational pull keeps coming in to get them in. R&D, manufacturing, maybe even medical, Vidyut, we see, and training, we see a lot of women who are there today. I would love to see in my span with the industry for a few decades more, this ratio changing dramatically. And I'm able to turn back and say, oh, right, that's where it was supposed to be. So that's going to be, I'm sure it's going to happen.
So I had gone to a pharmacy college, my own pharmacy college, and I see that the women are clearly outnumbering the boys. When they enter into the industry, whether it's a product management or other functions, I see that there's a level, that they are getting more and more enthusiastic. The problem is that that we have 65% women in the healthcare. We see only 25% entering the senior management. So the thing is about this, this journey about accelerating this one also. I think it completely depends upon how owners of company, especially Indian pharma companies or this thing, take this up upon themselves. And things can be done to influence, because we are seeing a lot of research and, statistics telling us that, even if you get this 25% to 30% women ratio in the senior management, you will see a 1% increase in net margin and a 19% increase in profitability. If these are the, we always talk about evidence-based, no? Everything we talk to doctors is evidence-based. So this is the evidence saying that women are able to take the profitability to a higher, then I think there needs to be a more collaborative effort in making this happen. Yeah. I'm waiting for the next, should happen in the next 5 years, according to me. Should happen, something needs to be done. Okay, the empowerment journey, it is up to each one. Now, I am the training head in USV, so I'm taking up the self-empowerment journey not only for March 8th, where I'm going to talk about, how you should feel your personal power and project it. And I'm going to do a huge lot of work on assertive communication, which is a little foreign to our country. Assertive is considered almost borderline aggressive here in our cultures. So what is a win-win communication is, I think each one of us needs to understand. And once that is, I think women will start feeling their power quotient. Once they feel the power quotient, they'll be able to assert not only at workplace, at home, and they will have win-win relationships. They're not trying to get aggressive, grandiose women, in the making. We want assertive, confident women in the making. Not those feministic, ideas about we don't want aggression. We want gentle confidence. Yeah. So it should start.
So I think thank you, Vidyut, for being optimistic and cutting down the target which Tanushree had put for 10 years and making it 5. And I always believe in being optimistic. And I think if we all believe in this and we're all in this together, definitely, I think it's a future that we can see much faster. And what we discussed today, I think each one of you, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your journey, your thoughts, your perspective. This definitely was one of the most engaging sessions that I have been in. I've enjoyed throughout. And like I said earlier, definitely I was looking forward to this. On a hindsight, I can say validated. And Tanushree, yes, my learning was the maximum. But I think all the vices that you broke and to where we are today and the entire industry. And I would like to thank DocMode to provide us this platform where we could come, we could discuss, point out, or even focus on areas which we thought, which we experience, or which we see that it could be important for us to consider, to discuss, to action and change. And with that, I would like to thank each and everyone who's been contributing to this journey. And I would now like to welcome the women force of DocMode to please join us on this session. Can we have your videos on, please? Okay, so we have Smita Lanke, Nidhi Mishra, Dr. Siddha, Asma, Richa, Shreya, Dr. Meenal, Sunita. Thank you so much for joining us here. The reason why we wanted everyone to come in was definitely there's a bigger team that works on to putting this together and bringing it to you. But for this special edition, we really wanted to salute and thank to the women workforce the DocMode has, and hence we wanted to welcome each one of you to the panel. So thank you. Yes, now we have Sunita there as well. Hello. Great. I think, Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah. It was a pleasure listening to all the panelists today. And I think I could relate to what each one of you said at some point or the other in my career also. And I would like to introduce our team here.
Sorry, Sunita. I think we were losing you because of network. So
yeah, correct. Yes, there's
now we can hear
here.
you clearly. Please carry on.
Yeah. I think I've already interacted and met Priya before, and it was a pleasure listening to her today and to all the other panelists. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Sunita, we can hear you.
Yeah, I would like to introduce the women power of doc mode. We have Smita, Nidhi, Dr. Sudha, Meenal, Neha, Akshata, and Mohita here with us. These are the women power of doc mode and the backbone of doc mode.
Hello.
Hi, welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining in. So there's something that we're going to be doing before we disconnect. Is going to be pose. And I'm sure you would have been seeing this on social media. So the theme this year, International Women's Day, is breaking the bias. And we've just spent an hour discussing about the biases that exist in the industry today, the biases that our panelists have broken, and they are where they are, the pathway that they have put forward for people like us, and also to where our industry needs to mature and grow. So saluting to the people who've been supporting and breaking the biases to build where we are, but also to establish that we in our minds and everyone here need to break the biases that we have within. So for that, I request if you could please pose for the breaking the bias, which is this, and we can have a photograph click. I can request someone from the team to click this, please. Lovely faces on the screen. I hope this has got clicked because I'm going to request everyone to ease out. Thank you so much. I think thank you the entire DocMod Women Force to join us here. Thank you, Sunita, for introducing the entire team and being here with us. I would now come back to the panelists. I think I can't thank you enough for being here and taking out time. Honestly, the discussion was not just for saying it, but it was enlightening. It was inspiring. It gave me the feeling and something that I, as an individual, also, I think I need to do more than what I do today. That's what I take back from this session and much more. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Vidyut. Thank you, Tanushree. Thank you for taking our time and joining us here and being part of this wonderful panel discussion.
Thank you, Zeenat. Thanks a lot, Zeenat.
Thank you, everybody at DocMod as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I must say, you've been a wonderful, wonderful host. Absolutely there. It's been amazing the way you've brought on everything, and to entire DocMod team, Sunita and Smita in particular, who has been chasing me down to get all the stuff from her till the last minute. But thank you, Kishore. Thank you, Shashank. And I think it's been amazing to be on this panel with Vidyut and with Tanushree, going back with absolutely fabulous understanding, memories, and experiences that's only going to enrich us further. So I'm hoping that we will remain connected even after this panel so that we can share experiences and make sure that the purpose that we sit for today of getting women on board faster, 5 years.
Yes.
Let's see how we can make that happen. Because just for me, I think one thing that has stood by always, that impossible is just an opinion. And it's not mine, it's somebody else's. So let's see how to get that going.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. And Priya, I have been actually looking forward to, I think, met you in some conference. I was introduced to you,
Yes.
So it's nice connecting
Years ago,
back to Tanushree and Priya. And yeah, I see some really lovely women out in DocMod. Smita Lanke, she'd been in touch with me. Yeah, you're adorable. You did everything perfectly. Everything has gone off well. And yes, this women's self-empowerment bit, I'm not just saying it, I'm really passionate about it because I have reached a kind of, towards a phase of my career where, otherwise also I believed in empowerment and becoming redundant. Now I'm taking it up like more because there are certain mistakes that I am afraid, I would be talking about that women should not make in their careers, especially the balance between rationalizing and those emotional decisions and examining what is exactly pulling you back. It's a very interesting thing. And I think women, their personal power shouldn't be misused in something else. There is nowadays, I see a lot of some unnecessary grandiose aggression. They have to get back to their absolute power, rationality, their ability to empathize better. And therefore, I feel very strongly and passionately about REBT in women because the fact that we are hormonal bags. Sorry for taking 2 minutes, but I feel so strongly about this. That's why I'm talking. Because they're dictated by hormones, and we've been talking about PMS. Aaj mera PMS hai. PMS means premenstrual. You all know, yeah. So there are hormones dictating it, unlike the men. The men also become andropausal. The menopause is blown out of proportion, if you know. Yeah. And so there are as Priya was mentioning, and also Tanushree, the reproductive age, and then the hormone down, and in spite of that, how the women are keeping themselves relevant, strong, rationalized, and in this world, I will not say man's world, whatever world we have, we are dealing with something really, really bravely, and I think more women, should be in the same thing. Their ability to look at themselves very dispassionately and go about. So because we need them. Otherwise, so many 5% CEOs, only 5 pharma CEOs are women. But rest in the other industries, there's so many women out there. So, kar sakte hain because we have to accelerate this journey. So Priya and Tanushree will keep in touch. Zeenat?
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Thank you so much, Zeenat. Thank you so much, Vidyut. And just the last line that I'd like to tell you all is that I have learned a lot on this platform today. And I think what I'm going to continue doing is not shying away from challenges and also challenging the status quo. I think that's something that I'm going to continue doing. And thank you so much for having me on this platform. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a great weekend, and we'll all be in touch hopefully, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
And let's
Thank you.
continue the 5-year plan in our respective
All
organizations.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.